It's my bad. I'm the producer here. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for coming to this special production of Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies. And it's really part of a larger project that a number of other YouTubers started. And Jim and I are way late in the game on this one. And it's kind of a tag thing where Jim and I are going to go kind of back and forth with our list of our favorite genre movies. The genres that we were given, and that's from our great friend of the show. You know him, the Upside Dan, are as follows: animation, comic book adaptation, comedy, drama, western, romance, action, horror, adventure, and sci-fi. Now, before I'm going to bring Jim on, we'll have a bit of a chat, and then I'm going to go on a pedantic rant about what actually genre is. But first of all, let's get my co-host, my consistent, constant, and patient collaborator on, Mr. Jim Chaboyko. How you doing, my friend?
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
A little bit of last minute stress. I want to say thanks to the Upside Dan. I don't know if he's watching right now, but he was the first one to point out that, Dan, thank you, Dan, for pointing out that our video had been removed. I'm not going to get into the technical details. It's a conversation, a technical code conversation between when I set something up on Restream and then YouTube, and then I want to change it. I changed it on YouTube, but that change didn't translate to Restream. I'm already doing the thing I said I wasn't going to do. Okay, Jim, how are you doing, man? What's new with you?
Yeah, not much. It's not bad doing this. It's a chilly May evening out there. We got a crazy north wind, but I was doing some yard work, and I thought I'd pop in to see what was going on. But it's an odd day. What's that?
No, you got it. Comment. I did, but you notice how it's like see-through. I got it like a bullet hole in me.
That makes my list. There's a direct connection to my list from that special effect you designed. So
that is awesome.
Yep. But congratulations. So you're one of two so far, or is
I've got my first shot, the Pfizer. Apparently, I've old enough to be on Team Pfizer.
There you go.
Yeah, went and got my shot this evening. And one of the reasons I had to make a change in the time, within like half an hour of when we set this up, I really thought it'd all be fine. Well. Why don't we, before I do my pedantic rant about what genre it isn't, why don't, if it's cool with you, Jim, I'm going to throw the chat overlay up here. I kind of like the way that worked. And, but let's say hi to everyone in the chat. First of all, the guy who got us here, the Upside Dan. Good to see you, man.
Daniel.
All right. And then, you know what? Another friend of the show, also a fellow YouTuber, Jonathan, Man of Movies, also the winner of the first annual Jim and Rob Oscar guessing game.
Yeah.
There's a wave for you, my friend.
East Coast representing.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're not technically on the coast, but anyway.
We do have, Upside Dad says, hey, remember though, I was given these genres also. I didn't make the list. Absolutely, Dan. That doesn't mean that I'm still putting my retag back a little. I'm going to get creative with the tagging after this.
No.
Folks, just to give you an idea of how this plays out, what happens is that, I don't know who started it, but a fellow in our space, I believe it was a woman in, I want to say Ireland or England. I'm not 100% sure on that. Anyway, one of the folks in our scene, she started this thing. She picked these genres, said what her favorites were in each, and then tagged 5 people. And that was the idea. Kind of a you know what? The reverse of a chain letter. Or it's still a chain letter, but it's a fun chain letter.
Mm.
No threat that something will happen to you. You know. Anyway, and it was kind of a
You'll
cool
be
challenge.
unable to see
And
movies.
exactly. Uh, what did though happen is the Upside Down. We were like, I was tagged. I couldn't find anyone else, and I was like, well, I'll tag Jim, and then at least I'll have a tag. But I think I figured out a way to get us out of this circle, Jim. So
Okay.
you agree with me, Jim? Like, I mean, you and I did not, like, I had selected my choices, then you gave me your choices just so I could organize the show, but we didn't
Mhm.
collaborate, right? We did not,
No.
we weren't going, oh, if you pick that, I'll pick this. Like, we really
Yeah.
are,
Nope.
these are our opinions made
Independent. Yeah.
separate from each other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So that's kind of how we're going to do it, folks. We'll start with in the order that they were given to us, and we'll kind of discuss briefly why we picked our pick. And at the end, we'll kind of have a nice little roundup chit chat and go from there. And, of course, every now and then we'll check in with the best chat on the internet, even putting up with these technical difficulties, and we'll go from there. All right, my friend. First of all, though, I can't really call it a rant, but I do want to discuss genre, especially,
Sure.
Jim. If we look at our first four, technically, and they are again here, I even have fancy graphics and all.
Ooh.
We've got animation, comic book adaptation, comedy, and drama. I would argue, Jim, none of these are actual genres. A perfect example is, let's see, on the comedy. All right. We have a drama, Ordinary People. We also have Saving Private Ryan. Both dramas. Would you say though that they sound like, when you say, oh, I want to see a drama, that both could equally pop into mind and you go, oh, that makes sense? Or,
Yeah.
same with comedy. Let's use the war thing again. MASH is a comedy. So is, I would say, Big with Tom Hanks. That's a
Mhm.
comedy, amongst other things. My argument here, and I really enjoy Eric R. Williams. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Jim. He's a screenwriter,
Oh.
and he's also I think, Ohio State University. Like, he actually is a professor. Talks about teaches screenwriting, other kinds of creative writing.
I like his
Anyway,
look though.
he fits right in. Why is he not a co-host? His argument is, Jim, that genre, and this is kind of an oversimplification, but I think I like it. It's quite apt. It's a genre should bring to mind an atmosphere, a certain set of stock characters, and a certain kinds of stories, and that would be a good way to capture genre. So if we say a war movie, well, we kind of know the atmosphere. We've got an idea of the characters that will be in it. And we even kind of got an idea of what kind of stories that will fit the genre, whereas you say comedy, that fits everything. You can have a comic horror movie. You can have a comic family, romance,
Mm.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of my thinking here. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, with your earlier example, Ordinary People versus Saving Private Ryan, I was trying to think, one of them is thousands of German troops, and the other is a cold mother. And I was thinking, which one is more horrific? I'm not sure. I'm actually not entirely sure.
Well, and one's kind of a road movie,
Yeah.
Whereas there's a journey, whereas the
Yes.
others, you know, a son and a father finally go, well, this is what we're stuck with.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
mean it
And their
has to
only
drag us
weapon is
down.
Judd Hirsch in a bulky sweater as the psychologist. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
A couple of quick things. I just about genre. Uh, we were just chatting. You saw I posted on Twitter that I watched the end of Year of Living Dangerously last week. On that little video description of it, like on the screen, it said a romance taking place in Indonesia in the unsettled 60s.
In a
For the
time of conflict.
and of course it's a romance, but it's also like a movie about journalism. It's a lot of different things, and so yeah. My other point would be that every story, to my mind, can be described as a mystery. Not mystery in the Agatha Christie sense, but that's sort of been my theory, is that it's all leading to solve something, right? So that's another little, just an
Well,
idea to throw out there.
but that I would say though, then Jim, like the mystery, let's say what are we discovering is almost like a story question or a description,
Yeah.
a great way of describing story. But when we talk about genre, let's
Mhm.
say when we say mystery as genre, all of a sudden it's, oh, who's the detective?
Yeah.
Who's going to be like and yeah, right there, like automatically certain characters come up. They might
Mhm.
not necessarily have a detective badge, but there'll be a detective.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
going to be probably some crime, maybe not a legal one, but um,
Mhm.
and I would even go further. Animation and comic book, Jim. You know, also a thing that I'm thinking of animation or for comic book adaptation. I mean, yeah, you know what? They're all the classics. Iron Man, definitely comic book adaptation, but so is Ghost World. You and I were talking
Mhm.
about this before.
Yep.
The first time I ever actually, folks, saw Scarlett Johansson in a film was Ghost World. It was with Thora Birch was the star. Steve Buscemi is in it. It's Daniel. Is it Close or Clues?
Cl- I say close, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
It's one of those
Yeah.
names I've only seen written. So
You know what? It's one of those slice of life, two cynical, kind of funny, kind of cynical teen girls being all ironic and different.
mhm.
So there's your comic book adaptation. Again, not a genre, because you say comic book adaptation, all you're really pointing at is, well, at one time somebody colored on paper. I mean that pejoratively.
Yeah.
And even animation, like again, so many different stories or so like again, it's more like a style of production versus a difference in genre.
Mhm.
I want to see a cartoon tonight. Oh, what are we talking? Rick and Morty or Watership Down?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, that's enough of my rant. I also though, and again, when you start using those, where is war? Where is fantasy?
Mm.
There's other where is the crime genre? Like, I mean, which implies superheroes and mysteries, all these other
Oh yeah.
subgenres. But we're missing some because we're using Anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
That's let's see if Dan has already said, Rob, you suck. No,
And
he
we can,
hasn't.
we can come up with a short list of our own at the end. Of categories
I'm
missed.
I may have one already
Mm.
prepared
Mm.
as our challenge to our colleagues, because we are basically the last people who are doing this.
Yes.
Oh, with any luck, Dan does get the joke. All right. Anyway, I think I do want to say, folks, yes, Eric R. Williams. I don't just have his headshot. I do recommend I really do recommend. He's got a great book. I've got it. It's called The Screenwriter's Taxonomy. Now you can tell it was written by both a writer and an academic. It's very structured, but which I think kind of lends well to screenwriting, because you've got such a box you're stuck in anyway. Structure, I think, helps a lot. Anyway, it's a great book that you don't have to, because it's also it's Routledge focus. It's a textbook, right?
It looks like the inside cover of a D&D module. Oh no, not the screenwriter's taxonomy.
The monster manual sucked up all my I don't have any of my allowance left. It'll take me 3
You lose
years.
all your gold in the second act.
That said, you know what? If you don't want to buy the book, and the Kindle version's, it's under $20. The print version's $90. So you may want the Kindle
Oh my
version.
God.
But I have another option. How to View and Appreciate Great Movies is one of those Great Courses Plus courses that he is the lecturer of. He dedicates one whole episode to discuss a genre, which is where I first heard about him, watching this series. And you don't necessarily need to have a Great Courses Plus membership. If you subscribe to Canopy through your library, there's a good chance you have it. Even Hoopla has it. So anyway, I strongly recommend either the book or at least check out the course. Again, it's like all those great courses. It's like, an incredibly lazy version of university, survey course that you're auditing. But it's free. Free, I tells you, if you have Canopy. So I recommend you check it out. All right. Man of movies. Quick.
I saw that.
Yeah. Fill your boots there, my friend. That just means more work for you later, because you will be tagged. All right. Okay. You know what? What I want to do, folks, is get some tunes going, because I think we deserve some music. Hey, Jim, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then we'll get this show on the road. Oh, while I'm pissing around trying to pull up Epidemic Sound, my go-to. There we are.
Stretch.
I think it is time to stretch. It's also time maybe to beg for a like. All two of you that are actually watching, which I greatly appreciate. Where are we here? Let's get some beats on. Some generic beats.
And I'll preemptively say hello to Shashank. I almost called him Shawshank again, but he's not here. But I just thought, in case he is watching later on.
That's a good one. That's a great one. Also, of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe. And we would love...
I haven't done this in a while.
We would love a little ringy-dingy of the bell.
There we go.
All right. Okie-doke, we've got some tunes. All right. Jim, is it okay with you if we start with my pick for animation?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead. Fire away.
Okay. All right. I chose heavy metal. 1981. Kind of a bonkers movie, everybody. It's not for everybody. And I think, Jim, if you and I reviewed it, like if we looked at it like we look at a movie every week, I'm not sure it holds up. But I rewatched it recently. I had a ton of fun with it.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely NSFW, folks. Some of it's barely above softcore porn, but there's something so early 80s cool and a real joy in it. Like, I mean, as ridiculous as it is, it doesn't have that mid-80s nasty teen sex comedy kind of Oh, ick. This is rapey. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I actually would say this film had more influence. If you see it, you'll see you'll see The Fifth Element in it, except that was a decade later. You even, I
Yeah.
think, see Blade Runner in this film. And yeah, it's what the hell? Because we're not looking at it through our usual lens, I'm going to say it's worth a look see. So there you go. That's
Yeah.
Heavy Metal. That was my choice.
Good choice. And the voice talents of, amongst others, some of the SCDV troupe, as I mentioned the other day, the late great John Candy. I think maybe Dave Thomas, Joe Flaherty. I'm not entirely sure about that, but
Yes, all of
I
those.
think
Yeah,
all those guys. Yeah, yeah,
Harold Ramis,
yeah.
multiple
Yes,
roles
yeah, yeah.
in what's a weird flick that doesn't make sense at times. I would
Yeah.
also one more thing. I would say this is also a truly a fantasy film. Not
Mhm.
fantasy with sci-fi elements. It's got some gizmos in it. It really is a fantasy film. I mean, heck, the bookends are about the this green orb called the Lochnar, the
Jesus,
embodiment, the sum of all evil. So, like,
Lochnar.
it's a fantasy. The Lochnar, yeah.
Wow.
2 words, no less, Jim.
Yeah,
LOCH-NAR.
that's ambitious.
It is. All right, Jim. Are you ready? Can I throw it up?
You
Your
bet.
animation pick?
About a little girl who plies the waves. Moana. I love this movie. It was a toss up between Wall-E, which was my previous favorite, and then this one. Sometimes movies you enjoy the first time you see it. You know, it sort of sets off that little neurotransmitter, just like bam, and then every time you see it afterwards, you get sucked in.
Yeah.
I remember we had arrived when we were traveling through Canberra, had a big long car ride, settled into the hotel, and Moana was on. The next hour was just watching it on the couch. But great movie. Obviously, the talents of Jermaine Clement as the David Bowie like crab, which is one of my favorite set pieces of all time. You have Lin Manuel Miranda. The lead does a great job. Auli Cravalho. AULI'. So it's almost felt like Hawaii. But anyway, and of course Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Just fun. Has some really good messages. And genuinely touching. I saw it with my daughter, and so that's always nice. I wore a Hawaiian shirt, much to her objections to the movie theater. So. Yeah,
That's
so
fantastic.
yeah, yeah, and it was just the songs, they don't feel like they're jacked in there. Everything feels fairly organic, and it's a fun movie, and it's just a great fun
Sweet.
watch.
Nice
Sweet,
heart.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, good heart to it,
Well
and
structured.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's
Yeah.
my choice for movies,
I
animation rather.
Yeah. You know what? I want to quickly just one more comment about heavy metal. What the kids would call a banger. Every song on that soundtrack is a banger. It
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah, there is, and even some old school Devo.
Yeah,
which totally, it's just nuts. What a great
yeah,
soundtrack.
that's pretty good.
But
I
yeah,
should say
you're
that the seller for me, the one that really was when I was watching in the theater, was that whole David. We had just lost David Bowie a couple years before, and there's this beautiful tribute to him, albeit him as an evil crab. But it's just that was I was like, oh, okay, this is it. This is this was a good movie. Now it's amazing. So yeah.
That was like that alone could have just been a great short film, like a
Oh
truly
yeah.
brilliant Oscar-winning short.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, Jim? I think, and this is maybe this is a good opportunity to kind of and you see Jonathan is totally with you on that choice. I think, folks. One of the toughest things when saying it's a favorite, it's almost impossible. Like, I mean, these are all great choices, and like I don't think there's anywhere I looked at Jim's list and went, what the you know,
Mhm.
it's really favorite is almost well, this is something I think should be noted, and so much of favorite also seems to be bound to when we've seen it, where we're at in life, you know.
Mhm. If you're
Yeah,
open
seeing
to it or
this with
not.
your well, seeing this with your daughter, I'm thinking, Jim, you know, that gives
Yeah.
it an extra flavor that I, because I think every once in a blue moon, it's like, yeah, I want to watch that again. I don't want to try something new. I want to try something easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Good
So
point.
what do we have next? I believe we are on comic book adaptation. All right. Why don't this time, Jim? I believe it's. Why don't you go first this time?
Sure. Well, I went back and forth on this one. I had a bit of a short list, but I ultimately chose. It's okay. I ultimately chose Ryan Coogler's Black Panther. Um, if mostly, it's a big exercise in world building, but I just watched the trailer again. It's been a while since I watched it. I think I watched most of it the weekend. Chadwick Boseman passed away. They I think they played it on Sunday night on like ABC or something. And yeah, just a great exercise in world building. They take some weird beats. There's a great protagonist, great antagonist, lots going on, intrigue among the tribes. Daniel, future Oscar winner Daniel Kaluuya is in it. Great roles for women, and just really getting into Wakanda. There's a couple in terms of the weird beats. They knock off somebody about half the way through that you presumed was going to be there till the end, and those kind of things. It's like watching Japanese animation. You're like, what? The witch is good now? It sort of sets you back on the heels, and that's a good thing. You sort of, at times you think, I do not know where this is going, but it brings, part of it is, I don't know how close it adheres to the hero's journey, but you get Black Panther at his highest and then his lowest, and then he rises again, and really fun, and just a lot of moving parts that are all successfully juggled, I think, properly. Anyway, great one. I struggled. I had Deadpool up there, and I had Ragnarok up there, which are both sort of, movies that take the piss out of comic book adaptations. This one's a little more serious. It's not humorless, but it's just got a really great sense of itself as well. So, and a great look.
Yeah.
So that's mine.
I think it's it's a fantastic. I can't put any the Marvel Cinematic Universe at the very greatest of films, but within that genre, let's say that not genre, that cinematic universe, that particular style of filmmaking and of storytelling, and that this is definitely one of their best.
Yes, yeah.
It really, and it's interesting to see. If you haven't, folks, already, I would say when you look at Black Panther again, before you do, Google up Afrofuturism, which is like a quote, was a real thing and is a real thing, and how much this really kind of pulled from early Afrofuturism, which is also a lot about Black Power and the Black Panther Party, and so anyway,
fascinating.
Yeah.
Having said that, a little bit of a hint. Two of my movies I just realized are sort of Afrofuturism, so or have elements of. But anyhow,
foreshadowing there.
Yeah. How about yours?
Okay. For me, I did not go with Ghost World. That was, yet no. I went with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's one of the later films that have come out. This, I got weepy at the right times. It emotionally connected with me. It also great storytelling, great filmmaking. Interesting, like that they can reference comic books and comic book style and other styles of animation while feeling like, without ever taking you out of the movie. You might go, oh, that's cute, or oh, that's cool, but you're still in the movie. You're in the movie. I think that worked. Plus, I do, as far as superheroes, which I kind of, politically, ideologically, philosophically, I have a problem with most of them. Spider-Man, it's like the Ant-Man, but especially Spider-Man, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, is a working class, just protecting the neighborhood. And even the tensions with his uncle and his dad is a cop, and there's just so much you can get into there. What a killer, like, you need films like this every now and then come out when people say, I'm getting tired of, and they've run out of ideas, and then something like this comes on the scene, you go, well, this is awesome. This is fresh. No, I really enjoyed this flick. Yep.
Amongst everything else too, I sort of have become a fan lately of great closing credits, and it's got a great closing credit sequence. It's when they sort of let loose or let the interns in charge, or I don't know what the hell, but anyway.
But it is also like, it's cool and fun and like a celebration of the art form and what it can. Oh, that's okay. That now I'm getting really into hyperbole, but I did like it. I liked some of the ideas, and just it's really it's a sweetheart. It's another. It got me in the feels. I can't call it sweetheart, is because it is a little harder, Anyway, the Upside Down, you'll just have to wait till the rest of the show. Maybe Zack Snyder, Justice League Rob will come out.
I was wondering what that stood for too. But also great voice talent in your choice. I mean, if you're a New Girl fan, Jake Johnson, what's his face? The guy who always used to write for SNL, played Spider-Ham. Anyway, great voice talent throughout.
And a
Mulaney.
Yes, and a great use of humor while still being serious, right? Like I would say it's a more, when you think of the Venn diagram and drama, comedy, as it overlaps, there is more drama in this than comedy. That said, it really does, it knows how to use bathos well, just to take, to give us all a little bit of a break, Jonathan, that was his pick. So at least there's a bit of overlap for Jonathan and I. I always start to feel bad when it's like, am I the only one who likes this thing? That definitely not this. I knew I was picking up. No one was gonna go, what? And then Dan and Jonathan, they're having their adventure. All right. What's next? We're moving along.
We have comedy.
I believe it's comedy. Yes, not a genre. I feel like laughing tonight. Okay. So anyway, what kind of movie do you want to see? All right. Jim, if it's okay with you, I'll do next. That's how I kind of got it rolling. Where am I here? Where am I here in all my graphics nonsense? Yes. Happy Gilmore.
Oh yeah.
Is it? And I actually have a couple more comedies, I think, on my list. But I think in some ways this is Adam Sandler at his best. I still again, back to the way we kind of analyze the movie. We'll break down a movie on our show. Some of this, I'm not sure it would hold up, but it's got so much going on. It's so, like, at times, like, who has a fist fight with Bob Barker and make that work? Like, that worked. Also, here's another genre that's missing from the list: sports movies. And this is a sports movie, maybe a comic in tone, but it really is a sports movie. It has all those elements in it. Another thing is, this is when Adam Sandler's films were really, like, I can't remember the individual. If I remember it, I'll pin it in a comment later.
Certainly.
Somebody did a great job of basically saying, listen, if you look at Adam Sandler's best films, they're all hero's journeys, like, of his early comic work. They're all like and this one, you really see that. It may be Carl Weathers with a fake wooden hand who gets taken out of the film by a crocodile while falling out of a, but it is a hero's journey. So yeah, that was my pick here.
Good one, yeah.
Right.
Good one.
Jim.
Mine, I was trying to figure out how to fit Wes Anderson in here because I'm a big fan, and my choice is Rushmore. Maybe not a sort of a belly laugh kind of movie, but it's wry, and it's sort of quietly funny a lot of the times, and like a lot of good comedies, it's character based, so a lot of the humor comes from the characters. It also is a comedy that doesn't have anything to do with crime, which there's a lot of them out there. The two dweebs who witness a mob hit or something. There's a lot of that out there, but it's just about these folks and about their situation. And Jason Schwartzman playing a very precocious young student who tries to win the heart of a young teacher, and it's sort of a love triangle with the Bill Murray character. I just watched it. I haven't seen it in a while. I just watched the trailer, and it's still the funniest. It still makes me laugh all these years later. The teacher's dating a doctor, and they all meet. And and Jason Schwartzman's Max character says, "Hey, nice nurse uniform, brother." And he goes, "Oh no, these are OR scrubs." And he goes, "Oh, are they?" And I just every time, it's the funniest thing I've ever heard. But it was my first exposure. Like a lot of times when you see something for the first time, or a director's work for the first time, it was my first exposure to Wes Anderson, even though he had made Bottle Rocket. I don't think I'd seen that until years later. But the first time I'd seen his, whatever you want to call it, dollhouse, gingerbread house way of making movies. But it's packed with stuff. And it just, there's nobody that makes movies like he does. I know he gets under people's skin. I have a book right back there, the pink one, but about the films of Wes Anderson. But there's nobody that quite does it like he does, and I look forward to it every time that he's got a new one out. And this was the start of it. So, and Bill Murray's great in it, and Schwartzman's great in it, and it's just a fantastic character study.
Yeah, I'm just throwing this out here to you and to the folks in the chat. In some ways, like some of the scenes in that film, I remember where, and that seemed to be really early in this idea that you can have cringe for comedy, like where a character really uncomfortable, like it's like you're looking like it, like if it was a friend of yours, you may laugh out of embarrassment. You feel really uncomfortable. Years later, though, telling the story, everyone's laughing their ASS off. But I remember this. I remember seeing it, and I liked it, but I don't think I quite got it or Wes Anderson, until I saw The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. But you can see that in like, what's the final play that he's trying to put on with a helicopter? Like it's set in Vietnam, like it, It was just so
at
bonkers.
this northeastern school. It's and just the whole approach.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to describe because it is so character based. But once you see it, even watching the trailer gives you a great sense of what it is. So, Jonathan, watch the trailer there. It'll give you a sense of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You want to know where Wes Anderson came from? Although, of course, there's Bottle Rocket. Like, it wasn't his first film, but I think it was his first film where he had some real money, eh? Like,
yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah. And you can see why Bill Murray, whatever you want. It's one of the few he doesn't read the script. He just says yes. So, yeah. Okay, so that was Rushmore, and a few folks are still going back and forth. Oh, good Lord. Some comedy gold in the chat. Apparently, Jonathan's nickname was Big Daddy in high school, apparently, allegedly. Who would lie about that on the internet? I can't think of anyone. Okay, folks, we will now go to, what are we looking at here?
Drama.
All right, Jim. You're up. It's you again, baby.
Well, I'm sticking to the 90s. Rushmore was 98. This was 91, I believe. And it's Terry Gilliam's The Fisher King. Great New York movie. A weird movie. Another character-based study. But another just... Its beats are all over the place. It's one of those movies you just think to yourself, how is this going to end? And that's always a great sign when you're half or 2/3 of the way through a movie and you think, I don't know where this is going. I guess I have to trust the makers of it. Jeff Bridges has never been better. It was a great role for Robin, him to do his thing and not derail the movie. Amanda Plummer, Mercedes Ruehl won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Just a fantastic thing. When I went to New York a few years ago, I actually stumbled on one of the areas in Brooklyn, sort of a tunnel entrance that's used in the movie. That's very it looks like a sort of an old Castle Modi kind of thing. It's, I think, right around the area that Jack Lucas gets attacked, Jeff Bridges' character. But this is the movie that I saw, and I sort of fully became aware of Jeff Bridges' power as an actor. I was familiar with him, but there's a couple times what he at the start of the movie, he says something. He's a radio shock jock. He's a talk radio guy, and he says something fairly casually that sets off a mass shooting in a restaurant. And a little time later, and when he realized what happens, his reaction shot is just heartbreaking. But it's all about redemption. And seeing it all these years later, especially since Robin Williams has passed, it's great, and it's got the vision of Terry Gilliam. So it's funny, I just watched the trailer for this today as well, and it appears to be this happy-go-lucky kind of movie. There's none of these visions that he has, none of the horrific night on a horse. It's kind of a scary movie, but it's so unique in terms of movie. Like where it goes and how it gets there, and a dinner scene right in the middle. It's totally weird at a Chinese restaurant.
You're gonna now spend 3 hours describing a 2-hour film.
Yes. Okay. No, I know. I was saying that to myself. Anyway, watch the movie. Don't watch the trailer. Watch the movie. Good. No. Good note. So that's my choice.
You know what? Your enthusiasm is there, Jim. I think it is. Any of these movies on our list we got to be enthusiastic about. Can I call them all favorites within a genre? Favorite's such a loaded word, but fuck, I love them all. So first of all, we got drama is a tough pick. Literally anything can be. Exactly. It's why it's not a genre.
Oh, yeah.
The Upside Down says, I haven't seen The Fisher King. I'll have to add to the movies I haven't seen to my list. You know what? That's what I enjoyed about watching your list, Dan, your list, Jonathan. Like it does, is it gives me a different angle, and there's films on your guys' list. I'm like, oh, I should check that out. I'm feeling like a out-of-date old fogey. Okay, so I guess is it my turn? Oh, wait, one more thing. Cody is in the house. Good to see you, man. Oh, and Meta Movies has left the chat.
Uh-oh.
All right. For myself, we're working our way through drama. I decided to go with that class. Like, I mean, I went with The Breakfast Club.
Oh,
Great
yeah, nice.
Slice of life, day in the life film. Another genre missing. So, folks, this will be all on the list later. But yeah, The Breakfast Club. I cannot believe, and this is another film that less problematic than you and I had taken a look at 16 Candles a few months ago, Jim. I can't wait to put this one up on one of our Does It Hold Up? I do think in some ways this is John Hughes at his best with these actors in a way, not at their best, but you could really kind of see this here is when they're all like, wow, they're all special. And they're all like John Hughes really was able to pull performances out of them that really just, it's the first film when I went, finally something speaks to me.
Oh, yeah.
And then a couple of years later you go, oh, apparently so the teen existence, because that's why it's popular.
Yes.
That's why they were able to get millions to make the effing thing. Anyway, so I went with Breakfast Club. Great slice,
nice
great day in the life, and really kind of John Hughes. Can I say at his best? I don't know. That's a tough one, but it definitely John Hughes firing on all cylinders. Maybe that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. You know, I was reading something after we did Love and Monsters, just a quick tangent, and they said it's sort of like science fiction meets John Hughes a bit, and I thought, oh, okay, well, that sort of makes a little bit of sense. But yeah, no, a nice choice and nice inclusion of John Hughes there.
Yeah. All right, what is next?
Looks like we have Western.
I want to answer quickly, just answer the question that Man of Movies is proposing here. Would you consider coming of age a genre? I've always considered it a coming of age film. I think it would be, and I really do enjoy Eric Williams, the way he looks at these things. It's a day in the life, because that's literally what it is, or a life film, a slice of life, and coming of age is in that, because coming of age is like a portion of life, which is part of the DNA of Love and Monsters. Love and Monsters, is in a way about a young man going on a journey to find himself. So that's another. It's got the monster genre, or what you'd call like a science fiction thing going on. It's got the romance, but it's also a life movie. It is finding himself, coming of age. So I think you can call it like it's a micro genre within a macro genre. That would be there you go. Because I really can't help myself. I love that overanalysis. Okay, so next we are looking at it's a big one here, Jim. Oh no,
Western.
Oh, yeah, Western
drama. Western omelet.
Western omelet. Denver sandwich.
I was going to say that. Oh my God.
Okay, Western. My go, and I'm going for now. Here I'm just because I'm not a fan of the genre, but you and I have spent some time in this now. I've done a lot of research. This has always been one of my favorite movies. Notwithstanding the the language But yeah, Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks at maybe his best.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
and a film that better people than I have, better film analysts and critics have made a solid argument. It's like, this is the film that maybe didn't kill Westerns, but delivered the final bullet. Like, it just really kind of turns the genre inside out. And unlike in a loving way, like I think what Love and Monsters did to say teen romance and the monster movie, the post-apocalyptic movie, that kind of, I think this is like, no, this is all BS, and we're going to show it to you. We're going to laugh our asses off showing you how awful this genre is. Anyway, so there you go. There's my,
Yeah.
Dan, you saw a bit of Zack Snyder Justice League Rob there.
All right, we have
Anyway.
Cody quoting lines from the movie.
Of course, Cody would. He
all
would
right,
know.
so that's
You know
good.
the
That's good.
genius of this film.
You know, great.
Don't shoot, or the N word gets it. Like Cleavon
Great.
Little, like just
Great starring
fucking
role for him.
genius. Pardon my poor language.
And another great line that makes me laugh every time. Let me whip this out. It's just I love best, the funniest thing. I laugh every time. Every time.
Yeah. What I will say for folks in this is it. Yeah, like and I've heard people, especially, you know what, apparently my goddaughter and her kid sister, their father showed it to them, and they're just appalled by the language. It took them totally out of the movie. And so you got to be aware, there's N-words. The N-word is dropped by white people. And but I would still say it still works. What did one critic say? It's like, listen, it's not that you can't make Blazing Saddles now. It's you don't need to. Blazing Saddles did the job in the early 70s. You don't need to make this movie again. You don't need to use the language. Put it in its context, and it works, I think, says the middle-aged white guy.
You know, the other triumph of the movie...
you can also just call bullshit on that, folks, too. I'd understand that.
Just to tread on your choice a little bit longer, another achievement of the movie, it makes Gene Wilder actually kind of sexy. He's a charismatic sort of Han Solo type in this.
Yeah.
And he's just great. Like,
and he does it. Smooth. With the whole fastest hand. Well, I'm shake now a little.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
All right, on to mine then. Or are you gonna
in 1 sec, let's just wanted to not get totally behind Man of Movies, referring back to drama, talking about Forrest Gump. So for us not to feel too old. Although I still think it's still kind of, it's like, I remember when that came out. It was only 30 years ago. Okay. Where else? It's like,
good one.
All right.
Good line.
Yeah. All right. Okay, you know what? Well, yes, let's move on to yours, Jim. Sorry about that, folks. That might get edited out later. Okay, Jim.
They're scrappy. Mine is, I guess, another one from the 90s. Yeah. The Quick and the Dead, Sam Raimi, pre-Spider-Man, starring Sharon, a Western starring a lady, Sharon Stone. This was one of the first
woman
movies...
with no name.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Yeah, she's never named.
Gene Hackman and Leo DiCaprio. Are you kidding? And one of Russell Crowe's... it's the first time I remember him in a North American movie. Years later, I saw Romper Stomper and a few others that he did in Australia. But this, I think, was his first unveiling to the North American market. And he was just, it was just like, who is this guy? He should be in everything. Great comic booky violence. And why don't you show could you show your sticker again? your shot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Right.
Because that's sort of a big part of it. Oh my God, he shot right through. I won't say which character.
Let's make it even more dramatic.
Oh, if you put that up to your, would it go through? Oh my God!
I've been shot in the head. Oh wait!
That's gonna leave.
Oh,
that's
come
gonna
on!
Leave a mark.
That's where it needs to be.
You just make this the live stream.
Models. All right, enough of that.
But that's That's a throwback to the movie. There's actually a whole shot clean through somebody, and sunlight goes through. But that's that's the level of stuff that they're going for in that movie.
But also not like there's some irony in it, but it's still kind of a dark flick. Like it's
it's a little bit. It's not super. It's kind of mean-spirited, but also kind of, it's one of those things that if you're in the mood for it, it's perfect. Like, and it is kind of goofy Sam Raimi. He's got his sort of flair for. He brings all of it there, so it's a good one.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one, Jim. Do you think? Oh, quick on us, folks. Actually, the very first film that introduced the first folks to bring Russell Crowe to North America were Winnipeg producers. Brought him for an NFB film about an Australian Air Force trainee here in Manitoba, because during World War II, a lot of, it's almost like half the Commonwealth and American pilots came through Canada, especially Manitoba. They were all over Hellsap Acre. And he comes and he falls in love with a local girl, and then he goes off to war. We've seen this movie before. Anyway, that was the first time Russell Crowe came. It was local producers, John Clement and what is it, Darren Johnson or something.
Did it have something to do with the Paquin family or not?
Yeah, Pecan Productions was involved. And yes, relatives of Anna Paquin.
Who was born in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Oscar time.
Yeah. All righty. Let's move on to. Oh my goodness, people are going back and forth here. Even Cody, how have I not seen the Quick and the Dead? How? It's a good question.
It's it's super fun to watch too. It'll go by like a rocket. It's just a great fun movie.
All right, next romance. Jim, what's
I am up, eh?
Yes, you are, my friend.
This one is a bit of a sleeper, but it's got a really interesting structure and some great talent. It is definitely Maybe, starring Ryan Reynolds, Elizabeth Banks, Isla Fisher, and Rachel Weisz, and Abigail Breslin. That's her name. I was worried I would forget that one, but of course I didn't. Another great New York movie, incidentally, and a really interesting movie about 90s politics, because it sort of covers 10 or 15 years in their characters' lives. It starts off with him as a Democratic Party volunteer in New York, and so
in 1992,
in issues of Bill Clinton come up, and all handled fairly well. But it's one of those stories where, as you're telling it, the story gets told, then it reaches the part where you're at, and then it moves forward. I don't even know what you call that, but it hits the contemporaneous point, and then continues. Like the story hasn't finished yet from the telling of it, and it's just basically what it is a man is telling his daughter about the three loves of his life, and she has to figure out which one is her mom, and he's disguised all the names, and it's
the quote mystery that you refer to.
Yes.
Early in the show. I love this movie as well, Jim, and unlike a lot of, like as the poster says, same folks who made Notting Hill and Love Actually, also solid romance films. I
Mhm.
think this one, though, is about, in some ways, it felt the most realistic. Notting Hill is a fantasy. Even Love Actually, they're kind of fantasies, right? And
Yeah.
they have a bit of a really well written popcorn. Really well
Yeah.
made popcorn. Maybe that's a better way to put it. It's like, boy, this isn't just potato chips. This is those kettle ones. These are
Yep.
artisanal potato chips. Whereas I think definitely maybe felt more real, more genuine. It had real pathos.
Mhm.
I you know what? It almost made the list for me.
Oh yeah. Okay. No kidding.
But it's definitely up in my top 5. Like if I think of
Yeah.
romantic films. But for myself, and here's an interesting thing. There was another one. I almost went. I don't know if you remember it, Jim. I don't know if anyone else in the chat will know it. But I almost went with Valley Girl, and I'm not
Oh
talking
yeah.
the piece of SHIT that came out recently that was a musical. I'm talking Nick Cage,
Yeah.
Deborah Foreman. Boy, I had
Yeah.
a movie crush on her.
Yeah.
Geez, what is that woman's name? She actually sang in the film, or it was her single in the film. Pop, early '80s pop singer. Boy, that was another one that got me in the feels. Even though looking back now, it's like, oh, this is it's still such a well-made film, but it would not, like, I would find it unrealistic. It's also a bit of a fantasy film, but so cool. And another one, boy, the '80s had some great films from the young woman's perspective that were real and honest and had a sincerity to them,
Yeah.
And this one, though, wasn't it made by Amy Heckerling? I want to say it was like one of
Martha
those.
Coolidge.
Thank you, Martha Coolidge. Anyway,
Just looking at it now.
so yeah, that I almost went with that, but it isn't the one I did go with. I went for probably a heartbreaking classic, Dr. Zhivago.
Oh my gosh.
You
Wow.
know, when I think capital R romance, Jim, like capital R, and yeah, it's I don't know if, can you call it tragic? I don't think so. Not in like a Greek sense.
Yeah, not in the technical Greek sense, yeah.
Yeah, it a poignant end, a sad end, and I was looking up before the show. I was looking up how contemporary critics, because this is an early '60s David Lean classic, epic, CinemaScope, wide as Russia, big epic film. And yeah, apparently the contemporary critics really criticized it for its not necessarily bad history, but it had downplayed the history and amped up the romance. And I think in part because, anti-communism, even in the '60s, was like nothing we know. And Boris Pasternak was not just commenting on, a romance. He's a great Russian critic of the Soviet Union and and what it did to Russia. So, but I still think, you know what, boy, and beautiful. Everyone's so beautiful, and Omar Sharif is just so amazing. Like, damn, that guy.
Julie Christie ain't bad either.
Yeah, and everyone's so beautiful, and the cinematography and the scope. Like, I mean, they just loved making it big, and I just, it's a kind of filmmaking that is maybe we might see some of that. What do you think, Jim? Is maybe Christopher Nolan, at least on the scope way, that, but not as lush. It's that '60s Technicolor. I don't know. Like, I don't know if anyone could really say, oh, they're like a new David Lean.
I was thinking about some of the movies to put in this list, ones that sort of made the long list, like Killing Fields and um, Year of Living Dangerously, and even something like, I don't know if it really fit in any of the categories, but Ran by Kurosawa, and those,
Mhm.
I don't know if the bigness stopped then, but there's some crowd scenes, there's some big scenes that you wonder, boy, have I even seen that in the last 20 or 30 years, to the extent that they show in these movies. And I can't say that I have offhand, unless I'm forgetting them. And I think they use CGI and a lot of times in that case. But yeah, just in terms of those David Lean caliber epics, yeah, you don't see it often. Gandhi.
Ooh, look who's in the shot, man.
Woohoo!
Eric Thorpe.
Toronto,
Welcome.
the Six. Say hi to Drizzy.
Here's before we move on to our next category. What the heck? First of all, yes, Eric, this is a classic. I recommend. Yeah, these ones, even if they don't. Actually, you know what? I got another David Lean one coming up. May not hold up to current, but to see it as an era of filmmaking, and to see why some of these other names that came out in later movies, why people talked about them the way they did, is because they were in a David Lean film, whether it be The Great Escape and they were made there. And just that idea of a star on a big screen, like, yeah, David Lean was meant for Cinerama and CinemaScope and all the big widescreen push of the 50s, as they were trying to get people back from television. Oh, this television is taking away our customers. Anyway, I would also say, I think it was Jonathan. I just want to say to Jonathan, La La Land is totally notwithstanding, musical would be more of a type, but yeah, I would say La La Land is definitely a romance.
Yeah.
Again, a downbeat
Absolutely.
ending for the romance, but still a solid movie. Solid romance. Yeah. All right. He also mentioned Gone with the Wind as his romance pick. Is that a romance? I want to think on that. Like, it has a romance. You know what? I suppose, yeah, it is one of the core relationships. Never mind, yeah, her and Rat. So you can't say it's not a romance. Maybe I'm thinking it's more than a romance. There's other genres in there, but okay. Where are we now? We are
Action.
on action. All right, that's me, baby. This is one I changed at the last minute. I was actually thinking of something else, and then I thought, what we don't have in here is another movie we don't have is a thriller. It's more than a thriller. It's got science fiction elements. It's definitely an action movie, but I would argue it's also a thriller, and that is Terminator. The Terminator. Like, yeah. And you know what? I can't go with I cannot go with the other 80s redefine a genre action classic, Die Hard, but I can go with this, and look, is this a good movie?
Yeah.
And just another one that helped redefine a genre. Geez.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even now I'm like, damn it, I want to go watch it again. So yeah, the Terminator.
All these, I'm like, yeah. How can I fit this in? Maybe if I stay up till 4, I could. But yeah.
Well, yeah, and not once have we said about the other. Guess you.
Yeah.
Guess it's the best you can come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be that for me, my friend. What? Oh, yes. Now here though, I did want to. I asked Dan earlier because he mentioned speed, and actually Cody, both Dan and Cody, but Cody actually did an unboxing,
Oh yeah.
speed unboxing. And I wanted to say this, Cody, a little disappointed that it wasn't actually a speed unboxing. I was expecting a ticking clock. I was expecting some action, some racing against the clock, some kind of, and then it's like, no, he's like, all I really had to worry about is, he marked up the box, and again, I still think he's going to cut himself one of these days with this machete, but anyway, otherwise that was like, but yeah, you guys talking about speed, like the Upside Down and Cody reminded me that was a tight movie. Like, I don't know why. Maybe I need to rewatch it. I'm not sure why. I don't think of it when I think of action great, but that was another one where Keanu Reeves, like, he sort of disappears, and Keanu, and then all of a sudden that came out. I remember they coming out going, holy, was that good? Like, rewatchable.
And our introduction for a lot of us to Sandra Bullock. I mean, that was their, like, who
I
is
think
this
it
chick,
made her a star.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
And just Dennis Hopper and Jeff Daniels, and
Quickly answer Eric Thorpe's reviews. I couldn't recommend it in the end. I still think it is you to get the full nuance, Eric. You really have to watch. Jim and I did a Does It Hold Up on this film. We watched it again, and we had a great conversation about it. And for a couple of reasons I won't get into here, but I will put a link to it, and hopefully I'll capture the right moment where I ramble on about it. It's a little bit, though, just to give you a heads up, like Dan says, it's a little bit of Zack Snyder Justice League Rob. Although I don't rant about it as much. I'm bummed that I don't feel I can recommend it. Unless you're a student of action, then I said, well, you have to see this. It is a good movie. Like, it's a fun, like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, damn. All right. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. Jim, what... You had an action film.
Oh, I do, yes. Sorry, we haven't finished action.
Yeah.
So, I think we saw this together in the theater.
We did.
Back when we were able to do that, or allowed to. And it is a sequel, which don't always work, Mad Max Fury Road.
Jim, this is the first one where, as I was reading over your thing, I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fudge, that was... Yeah. Totally get it.
Yeah, and then my son got it for me for Christmas one year too, just the DVD, the nice DVD copy with all the extras and things like that, or the Blu-ray or what have you. But same thing, right, Cody? Just got to jam it in there. But just dynamite. It's like, what did I write down here? It's like somebody took an AC/DC guitar riff and turned it into a movie. You have fire tornadoes. You have a guitarist on the front of a truck. The list goes on.
Flames coming out of the guitar, like not just the guitarist there with the wall of sound.
Yeah, just unreal. The Joe, what was his name?
Mortigan Joe.
Yes.
Mortigan. Yeah. Some ridiculous, over the top,
but believable, and everything fit into that kind of weirdo punk rock Australian kind of thing that the other movies did. With the mohawks and everything else from the earlier movies. Really great. Tom Hardy's fantastic. Charlize is fun to watch. She's given I think this is probably her one of the roles in which she plays such a powerful character, which is nice to see, and she's unapologetic about it. No hair, shaves the hair off, the whole, just everything's kind of stripped down to its core, and colorful. Like if the colors of the desert, it's not a monocolor kind of. It's not monochromatic. There's all kinds of
Look at how
yellows and
saturated,
reds,
like,
and
super saturated.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like the early movies. Like, remember when we did Mad Max 2, like the Road Warrior? And everything's got kind of a dusty haze.
Yeah.
Partly we're probably watching something taken off the 8th print.
Yeah.
That said, you see it in the poster, but that is the film. Super saturated, almost like this is what I wanted in the 80s.
Yeah. Just a great, and coming from, I'm not sure what the money trail is, but I would love for Canada to come up with something this bonkers. Just a feast, visual feast.
Yeah.
Fun to watch. Great performances. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I think that was something that came up in our conversation about the Road Warrior. I want to say we were kind of wondering.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got that in small doses, maybe, but not. This was an epic. Like, genuinely, people overuse the word epic. There was something definitely epic about this movie.
Yeah. Eric Thorpe doesn't quite agree with you, but that's cool.
That's what it's. Yeah, I know. It's
here. That's totally cool. And that was something I was actually, if memory serves, I was worried about going into the film, because you heard a lot when it was just before it was coming out, is that they didn't really have a script. It was just storyboards. And so it's like, what the hell? It'll be insane. Let's go. And I did feel there was, it's still an insane post-apocalyptic world. I think if it had too much story, it would be, okay, this is dumb. It almost like it benefits from a light story touch. Keep it very simple. Keep the characters. They don't need a lot of development because of the context they're in. It really is like 3 days, and we need to know about what's a Furiosa a bit. Mad Max, we already know. He doesn't have to say much. Is Mad Max?
No.
But
and props to Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult too. That guy's different in everything he does. He's he was pretty great in that too. But anyhow,
there was another comment here. This is something, Jonathan, when the next time we start talking about Oscars and awards and that, we got to have you involved in the conversation. This is an interesting point. He's talking about Spotlight as a Best Picture winner, and I have more to say on that, but not really fitting into the context of our conversation today. But I didn't want you to think I was ignoring that. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, and Upside Down isn't giving all the love to Mad Max either.
Oh, he'll pay. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, would you say though, Jim, as far as an action film, or as far as Mad Max Fury Road is so intense, so extreme, so committed to being Mad Max Fury Road, like I could see some people being turned off. Does not take away from its quality as a film. But I'm not shocked actually that some people come out with kind of going, no, I don't like that. No. It's like you either love it or you're going to be, you can be turned off. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. No, I there's a certain Friday night crowd that goes to see, well, back when we were able to go to movie theaters again, there was a certain crowd that just went to everything. If something was filled up, we'll just go to the movie theater beside, in the 8plex or whatever, octoplex. And I can see somebody walking in and it was horrible. But and it's funny too, because I don't always like the sort of, this is a loud, obnoxious movie, and I don't always love, it's sort of the movie version of Insane Clown Posse, I guess. But, I don't, that doesn't always appeal to me. I'm not a big car guy even.
But this one worked for you.
This one totally worked for me. So,
All right, let's go on to horror.
Is it me again?
Horror. It is you again, Jim.
All right, horror. Again, this is a bit of a mashup. Not pure horror, but there are horror elements, and it's a kind of a not the OG, but a kind of OG, I guess, for the new era. It is the shark movie Jaws. I love this movie. I have the poster downstairs. I have the board game. Oh, within reach it, I have a Jaws cup from my friend Don King. I have a Jaws shirt. Yeah, I love this. I love this movie. I saw it on television with commercials as a kid, and it still blew me away. We had it on different TV sets, and as I got more nervous, I think I was in grade 6. I ran from room to room, and it was just so. Yeah, it starts off as a kind of a creeping horror movie, and like a lot of these movies, they're not just one thing. They are sort of a mashup. So it starts off as that sort of silent killer. Where is he? You see little glimpses of it. You don't see it at some time. You don't see it at all. Evidently, the shark broke down a lot in production. Steven Spielberg had to make do with a sort of a hidden villain, which was actually turned out to be pretty fantastic. And then,
one of the best music cues ever.
Oh, one of the best music cues, absolutely, and universally known almost. And then the second half of it turns into a chase movie and sort of a buddy drama in a way, and the music changes. There's actually a happy, and I know this because I played the soundtrack while we played the board game at the lake last summer. And there's like a dun 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 dun, and there's a little happy sort of a etude, I guess, as they chase the shark with the barrels on it. Fantastic! The thing's got a mythology behind it. It's worked its way through the culture. It still is a movie. We've lost Roy Scheider and Robert Shaw, but Dreyfuss is still kicking around. It's Spielberg, one of his first major hits. But just it got to me early at an early age. I was able to appreciate it, and it's just my love for it's grown since then. I saw it on the big screen once. It's in Tragically Hip songs. Gord Downey, before he died, he was wearing his shirt on the final tour, like his big Jaws shirt. I just love it. I love everything about it.
That changed Hollywood, and we're still feeling the ramifications of it now. Listen, quickly, let's give a wave to Sean, Lost in the Reel, who dropped by.
Hello,
he's at book club, but he did want to, apparently must have heard his name, ears burning, about your choice on Fury Road, so wanted to just say hi on that. Good to see you, Sean. Thanks for dropping by.
What book? I want to know what book they're reviewing.
Yeah, which
he does
book,
books
Sean?
Too? He does books too. I wonder if he reviews books in book form.
You know what? He's the hardest working movie reviewer. I could see him taking that on top of that. Okay. All right. We're going back to some of these comments, though. It is interesting, and I want to kind of capitalize on Eric Thorpe's comment regarding not really a horror fan, so Jaws is my kind of horror movie. That's enough for me. I think what makes Jaws maybe not it is. I agree with you, Jim. It's a horror movie. It's right in the poster. Terrifying. It did the late 70s. Like, I remember seeing, it wasn't the first Jaws, I think it was the second, because like somehow hustled my mother into letting me go, or maybe I just lied. But I got it. Yeah, after a while, you're like, oh, I don't want to go in the pool. I'm not going there. You worry about sitting on the toilet. Like, that film had a cultural impact and changing film and everything.
Yeah. And one last little thing, the best part of it, the most underrated part, is the dinner scene. Richard Dreyfuss sort of mooches dinner off him, even though he's a rich kid. And there's so many great lines. He just walks and he goes, I wasn't sure what we're having, so I bought red and white. And you might want to let that breathe as Roy Scheider, he's already drunk, pours an entire tumbler of red wine. Just are you rich? Yeah. No explicit. Just great lines. Just the whole thing is just.
Yeah, no.
I love it.
You know what? A great Spielberg. Great. You know the Spielberg oneer that you see in that film that sets everything up. The themes, all that, the characters, everything up. The core conflict, which is not man versus shark, but really man versus the community. You know. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a remarkable film. One thing, Jonathan, we got to circle back to this one too about sneaking into the film studio, because I think you are, all of us here, we're in another film studio that's been given to us. So we'll comment on that later. 50 Shades. I think he's now just taking the piss out of out of somebody in the chat. I find that funny. All right. Did Eric have to leave?
I think that's what it was. It was that the second half of his comment. He was not using punctuation. So.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here we are. We got a question if I like horror, but I guess it's my turn to talk about horror. So why don't we start with that? Okay. Myself, Jim, I went with, and I laughed when I saw your pick, because I went with Alien.
Oh yeah,
and it was Jaws in space.
Yeah.
Unlike, I say, in some ways, fundamentally the same movie. In some ways, no, that's. Damn it! It is Jaws in space, but it's because it's a small crew stuck on a ship. There's no conflict with the community, so it's not the same. But a lot of overlap there. But I think the reason this is the one for me, the defining horror film for me, much like you for Jaws, is I still remember seeing this at cadet camp back in the day when could rent a print, the 16 millimeter, like a 60 millimeter conversion, the military at a summer camp, and they put it up, and I'm like, this is the scariest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And now I have to walk, and I'm 13 years old. It's cadets, right? And I got to walk back in the dark on a military base to my barracks. This sucks.
Yeah.
Scared the shit out of me. And then later on, you're kind of going, oh, Ridley Scott is an auteur, this is just not just a great horror film, not just a defining horror for me, but a great film,
yeah.
And but I totally understood you, but I also had to laugh because this is allegedly how it was pitched, folks, was, well, it's Jaws in space.
Yes, yeah.
It shows the power of a pitch. I tell you that, you know what the movie's about for the most part, and yet it still is something on its own. Like, you're not going, oh, this is just a knockoff. Not at all. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. That was my horror film. Yeah. Scared the fucking shit out of me. Some people are referring to, and this almost made it. I shouldn't say almost. It didn't really almost made it, but I did think of Aliens when I was looking at horror films for myself. Aliens is another one, but I think it's got different things going on there. It could have made it on this list in a different category, actually. Another great film, and also the genius of Cameron to flip genres or mix up different genres to refresh a movie, to the right way to do a sequel. I think Cameron really deserves more credit than he gets as a creative film director. Anyway, next, Oh, that would be on me, I suppose. Oh, was there anything you wanted to say on my choice, Jim, or is just like,
No,
well, I
great
picked
choice.
Jaws.
Great
Mine's
choice.
better.
The late great Yaphet Kotto, the late great John Hurd. We just lost Yaphet Kotto, of course. Sigourney Weaver, who I just saw, and boy, she had a good few years there. Just a good look to it too. Like a lot of these, you can see a lot of modern science fiction, and sort of take for granted the look of it. But if you look back to Star Wars and Aliens and a few of those of that era, boy, they did a good job. With fairly limited resources and without a lot of precedent of the kind that they were trying to achieve. So just a great look. The weird lighting. I mean, you can tell what movie it is from it's like that old thing. What is this? Identify this song in 2 notes. You can take a look at the lighting of Aliens and know what movie you're talking about.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The Upside Down does ask, but Rob, overall, are you a big horror fan? I don't know if it's something he missed when I told that anecdote. I think I've told it a couple of times, but I believe in this context, it does bear repeating. Jim and I went to see It. I wanted to see the new version of It. It reminds me of a lot of Spielberg 80s films, like a certain style and a tone. We see it in Stranger Things, even the Goonies vibe, like
Super 8,
still being a horror movie. At no time was I Super 8. At no time was I thinking, oh, I'm going to see a comedy, and I was surprised. Here's the thing. I couldn't, when the little kid is going towards the gutter and there's Pennywise and they start chatting, and I left the theater. I went to Jim. I told you, you want to come over for a beer after? It's fine. I can't watch the rest of this. I am not a horror guy. And I think that is not so much that I don't appreciate it, or my constitution is no longer set for that. I can't do it. I've not built up the psychological resistance, or I don't know. So there you go. That's the answer to the question. I couldn't do it. And Eric Thorpe, I think we're referring to Yaphet Kotto.
Yaphet Kotto, yep.
Yeah, solid Bond villain. Oh, and that would have been early, wasn't he the Bond villain in... Oh my goodness!
Eric will let us know.
Eric, let us know. Damn it, it's killing me. I think though, it's not Sigourney Weaver. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go down a trail. We got to keep moving. All right, so let's go to adventure. I believe it's my go, Jim.
You bet.
Now this is one actually. Yeah, I do. Like some people, action adventure, and I don't think they're interchangeable. I think adventure is its own thing. And although some people are a little stricter on its definition, I went with a war movie that I also think is an adventure. And this is my other David Lean pick, Lawrence of Arabia, which I think based on the journey of the character, even the
Get
kind
this
of
boy some lemonade. Just a great delivery. I think Peter O'Toole's. Sorry, go ahead. It's your movie. I'll comment later.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say,
do the
one of the great line readings. You just got me excited about it. So get this boy some lemonade, because they weren't going to serve the local kid at the club.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. Well, and the probably the best so far to date. I got to stop saying ever, because there's always another filmmaker is about to go. Just hold my beer. Let me show you how it's done. But to date, I still think the best match cut. I even cut it out as a video. I may bring it up later if I can pull it out of my AWS. But yeah, the best match cut, that moment where he's blowing and all of a sudden you're in the Sahara. You're in the desert. Like just such a. Remember when he's blowing out the match because
Oh,
he's playing the game when he's in
yeah,
Cairo? You know,
yeah.
just yeah, one of the best match cuts ever. Just such a brilliant film. Um, and again, great performances, and you see why these people are were everyone's going, oh, and the great Alec Guinness and the great Peter O'Toole and the great, and I think a lot of them, they all spent time on a David Lean film where they all looked great. You know, they looked
Yeah.
big. Yeah. So yeah, that was my
Great choice.
adventure film. What
Yes.
about
Yeah.
you, Mr. Chaboyko?
Well, I'm trying
Oh,
to
heck, I got to go
find
back one quick sec. I still,
Sure.
and although it's folks, it is a problematic. You know what? It wouldn't hold up today. Like I watch it as a student of film. Watch it to watch a great filmmaker make a great film, but it is based on T.E. Lawrence's take on it, like because he is a historical figure, and it's kind of. Oh, sorry, I put the wrong picture.
You
up,
put
sorry.
on. I was going to warn
It's
you.
kind, yeah, it's kind of a lot like unlike Blazing Saddles that is commenting on racism within a genre. This one leans into it, especially Orientalism would probably be the more academic kind of comment on it. It presents Arabs in a less than flattering. Well, it's a weird flick. It's see it. I still think it's worth seeing, especially
Oh yeah.
for any student of film. But you got to be aware. Like it's stuff where it's like that's pretty racist. There's a moment about the Turks where it gets a little weird, and you're like, okay, you know what? It has its challenges. But you were going to say, Jim,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
think I know what you're going to talk about. But go for it.
Well, I just and I've talked about this on the show before. They re-released it years ago. I used to go visit my dad in the summers in Vancouver. Great old movie, single screen movie theater. Remember those? And somewhere sort of in the Kitsilano neighborhood, I want to say, like those great old classic ones, like the one that they have in It Follows. Anyway.
Yeah.
And I was sitting up on the balcony, and there's some tent scenes. So you're in the desert in the tent, and the surround sound. I'd never experienced this before in my life. I heard desert bells behind me, and for a second I was like, "What's going on?" It's like I'm in the tent, and it was just they had the full-on CinemaScope surround sound kind of feature, and it was the best use of sound I've ever experienced in the movie theater. Again, single screen, so you didn't hear any explosions to the right or left of you either. And it was classic. It was so much
Anthony
fun.
Quinn. I am a
Yes,
river to my people. Like just such great
Quinn.
performances, you
Yeah.
know, by like remarkable actors. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just actually, you know what? I was trying to answer that, and that's gonna I wanted to laugh at this. Rob, you're showing your age. I I will say, listen, I might be a fan of Mr. Lean. I wasn't like it's not like I was in the theater when they came out. This
Yeah.
predate me even.
My favorite movie is Birth of a Nation. No, I'm just kidding. The original. I saw it when I was 2.
Um,
Just
yeah,
kidding.
you
It's
know
not
what?
my favorite.
Yeah, no, and yes, I did know you're just you're taking the piss, Jonathan. That's totally cool. It is, yeah, it is a remarkable film, though. All right, but Jim, your adventure film.
Yes. Oh yeah, we were getting to that a few minutes ago, but that's fine. I love tangents, but yes, I was trying to figure out how to shoehorn one of my favorite movies into this, and I figured out Fellowship of the Ring by Peter Jackson, the first of the Lord of the Rings series, and also to my mind, it's the freshest. The others were great too, great conclusion, but this one seemed to, I don't know, there was space and time here.
That breathing
It
that you talk
it
about, that
breathed,
we
and
both
especially if
talked
you
about.
watch
Yeah.
the longer versions, you actually had a few fun scenes with Boromir. Like the guy isn't a jerk the whole time. He's not sort of the whiny alpha male. I think is a contradiction. But anyway, there's a scene where he's helping train the hobbits and they're laughing. And it takes its time with it. I wrote down a couple thoughts here too. For a longtime fan, Rob and I read these as young gentlemen, quite a few years before the movie came out, and we always heard about somebody wanted to make a movie. Oh, it'll never get made. Oh, if they make it, it'll be problematic. You'll need super special effects. How are you going to do this? It's unfilmable. When you're in the theater and within the first half hour, you're like, Peter Jackson has nailed it. There's something so satisfying at a deep level for a big fan. You're like, this guy gets it. He understands it, and you can relax. Like after the first couple segments, you're just like, all right, take me on an adventure. What a great start to the movies. Great use of Elijah Wood, the other hobbits, Ian McKellen, who I was familiar with but not super familiar with. Gutsy casting choice there. Just maybe not a gutsy casting choice. The guy, the diction, his pronunciation is beautiful. Just a phenomenal. Oh, Viggo Mortensen, switching from Stuart Townsend to him. That was probably not an easy decision. It looked good. It sounded good. Howard Shore with the score. And you'll be on this adventure, folks, for the next 3 years. Here's the first part. Enjoy. And I think we all settled in for the ride. Great film.
Yeah. I have never been as into this series or this film as others, including yourself. And Jim, I think you and I saw this together. We may have.
I don't know. No, because it was
When
2001.
Did it come out? No. Yeah, never mind then. Yeah. Forget it. Oh, look at this. And you know what? I think I think he is right. I think I did just it's the first of the night. I did lay down a hot take.
Oh, yes.
Oh, did anyone even hear that?
Yeah, it didn't have the echo. I heard it, but
yeah, that's not no, got to give it proper. Upside down's right. Got to do it right. Hot take. That was a hot take, but I think I can back it up. Like, I mean, you and I think we've talked about it. I wish. Here is my wish about the first film that I think would have. It's a quibble. It's still Peter Jackson. It's still a remarkable film, but I wish we got to find out, much like in the books, we got to find out everything as the hobbits learned it. You could have the exact same shot scenes. Like, it could still be, let me tell you this tale, puff, puff. And then all of a sudden cut to Gandalf doing whatever the hell. You know what? But I think that would be my only quibble. But you know what? Definitely, never mind that. An incredibly worthy thing on this list. It's still, and yeah, the way people talk about it now, if we go back to something I was asking everyone when we're talking about the Oscars, what makes a great film? Never mind if it's Oscars worthy, what makes it great? And yeah, people talking about, for me, part of the criteria would be, well, are we still talking about it?
Yeah.
When still have we stopped talking about Lord of the Rings? Even myself, I use it, and I use some of the ways Jackson told that tale as an example when I'm trying to illustrate something else. So yeah, I'm not, yeah. No, it's a good one. I always now
think
everyone's just trying to take the piss in the chat as they have their adventures.
It's getting testy in there.
But I'm not going to say that this is a hot take, in part because we're not talking television. Game of Thrones is the best thing in entertainment ever. Well, that is a hot take. Okay, now you guys are all now everyone's just fishing for it. That's all that's happening. Eric's just fishing for a hot take. All right, enough of that, folks. That's the only. I'm putting this all on a budget. We're only doing the hot take twice. Any other nonsense, we're just going to ignore it. Jim, is there anything else you wanted to add before we get? Because we're just about done the list, man.
Yeah,
we are. But is there anything else you wanted to add to your Lord of the Rings before we move to sci-fi and
just
your choice under sci-fi?
A little bit about Peter Jackson too is that it's interesting that, like with Sam Raimi, these guys start out in horror and they bring some of those elements with them, and I think it actually served Lord of the Rings well to have elements of horror, at least in the design and the production design and the characters and things like that. The orcs are truly horrifying. And there's other Scarrow kind of aspects to it as well, and that great, even our first introduction to the Black Riders, with them just sort of going back and forth in that sort of 3/4 motion as they're getting on the Buckleberry Ferry, and just like awesome. I should say, I went for a walk at night when I was in Wellington. Big windstorm. I wanted to get up onto the top of Mount Wellington. I thought, I probably shouldn't do this. Pitch dark. My phone died, so I didn't have my battery. And as I was making my way up, I stumbled across a sign, and it said, "Here is where part of Lord of the Rings filming location." And it turned out to be where they were hiding. That thing where they're behind the roots, and the Black Riders are sniffing them, and they're hiding behind the tree. And it was right there where they filmed that. I was there at midnight. So anyway. Not a wise traveler sometimes.
I gotta just quick. Eric Thorpe is. You know what, Eric? It was just teasing. I not questioning your sincerity on that comment, and it's something we'll maybe circle back to in another show. I would not agree with you. I think if it's going to be if we're going to start talking words like greatest, it's got to stick the landing, and that series did not stick the landing. I'm not saying that's a hot take. I think I'm on solid ground there. Anyway, okay, we are now in our ultimate. We're at the last. We're at the last part here.
Sure.
Sci-fi.
So before I say that, Man of Movies just says, "I will get a hot take one day, and it will be glorious."
Glorious.
We got to space these things out. You just won the Oscars, John. So, slow your roll. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
So
that was great, by the by.
Hopefully, awesome. I'll get some laughs in Florida from that. But anyway, okay, my top science fiction movie released fairly recently, well, within the last 10 years, Neil Blomkamp's District 9, a South African science fiction movie. Another one of these American, you can say African futurism. I don't know if that plays a role or not. I just thought of that when you were talking about it, but a really neat, another mashup. What is it? Yeah. Is it a movie about oppression? Is it a buddy movie? Is it a horror movie? Is it a chase movie? It's kind of all three, and it becomes towards the end. It's funny, it's sad, it's scary a little bit.
It's cops and robbers, and it's a sci-fi film, but it's also a cops and robbers film. It's there's political commentary, like in any good movie has an opinion.
Yep. Yeah. And just super interesting. There's elements of reality TV as they film Vicus, the lead character, doing his job, and he's mugging for the camera, for a news crew.
The first time we ever meet, really, like in the West, in North America at least, Sharto Copley.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. For me, it was, yeah. Mm-hmm. And just this one just leapt right out at me, and I loved it immediately. I thought it was probably one of the best movies I've seen in the last 12, 15 years.
Oh, Looks. Hey, Eric. I appreciate you. Got to go. Thanks for dropping in, man. We'll see you. We'll see. We will. We need to collaborate, just for the laughs, just for the fun conflict. Yeah. So we'll figure that out eventually. But thanks for dropping by. Okay. Jim, wouldn't you like? I'm thinking about, like, even its use, like, one of the great things about that flick was like a good sci-fi, like, and I'm thinking harder sci-fi, like, you know what, not necessarily. Space opera is a little different, eh?
Yeah.
Which is almost fantasy, but
Yeah.
I would still argue it's within sci-fi, but like a, you know, something a little harder has great. It comments on our current existence, and I think what it says about not just let's say South Africa's political context at the time, but about Western world policing, you know, racism, reality television, and the way we treat this stuff, and the way we treat refugees, and all those things. Like, that was one of the, while still being an exciting film, you know.
Yes. Yeah. And not knowing where it's going to.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. Not knowing where it's going to end up. Like 10 minutes from the ending, you're like, how is this going to end? Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to further on that. Well, the cop who becomes the cop who becomes the fugitive.
Yep.
You know, which is, you know, but it was interesting. Once you said that, I thought about its ending, which is, the film resolves itself. Like, it's got a proper end. And I don't think we should necessarily always just jump to, oh, they're setting up the sequel. Sometimes they're not. They're just kind of going, the world moves on, and we're going to give you a little taste of that. We're going to put a little hook in your brain, just so you don't think you get to walk away. Well, we're done with that. Yeah. Everything's been solved. It's like, no, it gives a little hook and I think that is also great sci-fi.
That's a good point. Yes.
Yeah. Which reminds me, this might be a great time to just quickly plug, like next week. Actually, we got a bit of a run of sci-fi. Next, here, I still have it somewhere. There we are. Folks, if you haven't already put it on your schedule, 9:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Universal Time code -5. We're going to be doing The Unthinkable, which is kind of a apocalypse film about some sort of invasion set in Sweden. All Swedish cast. So expect a lot of blonde people. And that's the flick we're looking at. It's just about everywhere on VOD now. It will be in the States on the 7th, so tomorrow. Check it out and then come join us. Another thing, talking about more hard sci-fi, Jim and I are going to be, at the end of the month, seeing if Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner, holds up. And we've got a special guest, a University of Winnipeg communications and rhetoric professor. He actually wrote a book a few years ago called Postmodern Theory and Blade Runner. His name's Matthew Flisfetter, like better, and he'll be on the show. So just wanted to get in a little plug for that.
Yes.
All right. Okay, where are we now? Right, science fiction. Let's get back to sci-fi. And I guess it's my choice. And we're just about wrapped up here. I went with space opera, Jim, and I went with the film that in some ways I still think of as the perfect film. And that is Star Wars. I really do think it's as close to a perfect movie as I have ever seen. And like everyone was like, it was. I was 10 years old when this came out. I got to see it multiple times that summer. Like, I would nag my mother for just enough money for the bus there and back. And the 80, 90 cents it was to get in the theater. Now I'm showing my age, but yeah, it does. In some ways it just defines what is a great movie to me. And it is almost perfect. Any of the conspiracy theories after and all the crazy crap that came with, especially after the first 3 sequels, I'm just like, this is still perfect. And I don't know about you, Jim. I actually have downloaded a couple of the folks who've made, they've restored original prints to make their own without the extras, without the those little tweaks he was doing in the George Lucas was doing in the 90s and the aughts.
Oh yeah.
And I watched that and I get even a bit, I'm getting a chill now. Like it's got to have like the best film opening ever. One of the best villain reveals. Well, not ever. Again, there's a filmmaker out there going, hold my beer. But
so far,
so far to date, greatest to date. I mean, I can't. So that's my that's my science fiction. And it's not unlike what we've talked about. And this is what's so tough about genre and picking a favorite is, well, science fiction's a big tent. All genres are tents. And tents that can be connected to other big tents. And within each tent, there's like tables. So in sci-fi, you've got space opera, which is, I think, this. It's almost a fantasy movie. That table's close to the connection to fantasy. We're going to look at Blade Runner soon. I would argue that's very much a crime tent meeting up with science fiction. Just like Neil Blomkamp's District 9, it is a cops and robbers, fugitive kind of flick set in a science fiction context because it allows you to talk about stuff you don't get to talk about otherwise. So folks, when we say these are our favorites, you know what? Everyone else's is such great choices. And there's plenty of these films where I'm like, if I swapped with Jen, I'd be happy. I just, so don't take any of our choices as gospel, I guess, is for us even. Like, don't think, oh, well, we know what, oh my goodness, Vlad 65.
Yes, I was going to say.
At the end. Oh, wait, we got to get this chat up. Anyway, so there we go.
Yay!
Star Wars for me. Vlad 65, good to see you here, man. He does also mention it's about a swashbuckler, and I've even great arguments that it's really a neo-western. There certainly are elements in there. Lucas did not let any great storytelling trope or technique or bit of vocabulary from a different genre. If he thought it would work for his movie, he put it in, and but kept it unified. Damn. Meta movies, Rob. We agree. We concur.
Yeah.
So on this. Yes, you know what? We'll do the one on Netflix because it's the most accessible. That said, there probably will be a bit of a discussion about the theater one and then the ultimate one. But we all kind of know. I would say we'll use the director's cut though as the key one to discuss. I also think for the Blade Runner one, might be worth, if you guys are that into it, rewatch 2049 because I'm sure that will come up too. Like, there's something about Blade Runner and discussing a film that it conjures, it kind of provokes comment on other films, especially as they comment on it. It really is kind of a postmodern film that way. All right. Oh my goodness.
Well, Vlad just said, "Hi, we're watching Georgie Girl," and there's that one where Homer loses his trip on a blimp, and he's a pickle, and he's going, "Hey there, blimpy boy."
All right, we've got Jonathan. You're not sneaking out at all. We are pretty much done. Thank you. So thanks for popping by,
Yes,
yeah, Jim. I think though, yeah, we're done.
we
Do
are
you
done.
have any? You know what? I did do maybe I didn't. I thought I did. I thought I had a little final thoughts in there. I did not. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap it up? And
Yeah, I
I
kind of
guess I
went.
can
I was
ask
thinking.
one more time. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Okay,
Yeah, I
good.
mean,
Sorry, I interrupted you.
no, we were talking about alternative choices for. I mean, you could do another 10. You could do document, not all genres.
Yeah.
Documentary, silent movie, classic movie. You could do black and white. Who know the list? I was thinking war movie. You could do
The challenge.
current
That's
event.
what I have to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So there, I mean, there's literally so many that almost made the cut for me. Killing Fields, Year of Living Dangerously, that I just didn't get a chance to. Wall-E, a few others like
Schindler's List.
What's All the President's Men? Schindler's List is a good one. And a lot of these here are those ones. And there's a lot of good movies out there.
Yeah.
There's probably a list of 100 that we all have that if we're watching TV and we're flipping the channels, we see that it's on, it releases that neurotransmitter. Those little kind of little things where you go, oh crap, I gotta watch this for a little while. And there's probably about a short list of about 100, I would argue, for each of us if you really like movies. And these are some of them, the ones that are just like so easy to watch, and then you watch them years later and there's lines you remember, and these are the tip of the iceberg for us, but there's so many that we didn't get a chance to mention, I'm sure, but
and I think that's like it is. It's we're almost trying a favorite of favorites, or one favorite amongst many within each genre, and yeah, you could just keep drilling down, and like never mind the other ways we can categorize a film. That said, though, I want to kind of capitalize on that here, folks. These are the genres I think, although I touched on, because I'm that pedantic jerk. But I do think, and this is why I want to kind of put this back on everyone, especially everyone who came by, the Upside Dan, all you great folks, Eric, Jonathan, Man of Movies, Sean.
Vlad.
Vlad, if he wants to make a video of it, love to see that. Why do you not have your own channel? But I want to say to all you folks, here's Jim and I's tag back. We'd love to see you update your films, update your list with these genres, because I do think these were missed. Okay. Crime, like that's a genre, and that can be mystery, whodunit. It can also be like the kind of a life change one, like The Godfather or something. But there's no crime. I can't believe fantasy wasn't on the list. People did pick fantasy films, but in a shoehorned in other genres when they're like, that's a fantasy movie. What I'm calling slice of life, but you can call coming of age, slice of life, day in the life, the biopic. The biography is a perfect slice of life film. Sports, like there's so many great sports movies, again, that would not fit in the others unless you just said, well, drama, war, a genre that is like, that again, so many, and thriller, like whether it be a spy thriller. You can even get a twofer there. A great spy thriller. I almost had, I don't know about you, Jim, I almost had The Bourne Identity on here. That was a thing that kind of, I don't think we could have, and it's too bad Eric's already left. Casino Royale wouldn't have happened except for The Bourne Identity showing, hey, you can make an exciting spy movie that isn't, like, because by The Bourne Identity, Bond was tired. That was a tired series. All of a sudden, you have The Bourne Identity. A couple years later, you have Casino Royale, which looks a lot more like The Bourne Identity than it does, crazy gadgets and that. It's a lot more gritty. So that's my challenge to everyone. Update your list, add crime, fantasy, life, sports war, and thriller. And I will pin this, and I'll tag, like I'll say to everyone that we've talked about, but I'll tag them all in there, and I say that's what I want I want your lists updated. It includes those genres, because I think those are very clear genres that deserve to be on a list like this.
How about history? How would that be? Would that be historical? Something like that. We've just Judas and the Black Messiah type of thing.
Well, except that, say Judas and the Black Messiah and The Life of Christ, both historical. Jane Austen, historical. I think you have to look at. I would say that's more like a biopic, slice of life kind of thing.
Yeah,
there's a bit of a mashup there, and there's also, when I say crime, because it doesn't necessarily have to be. Well, that's the criminal and the people with badges of the. Here, I'd argue it's flipped around, right? But I think a historical drama, and that it's too
open.
Braveheart.
Yeah, that's true.
It's easier to describe with other genre labels than saying history. That's just a period. That's not. It's a period piece. Well, are we talking Howard's End?
Yeah.
Remains of the Day. There's other genres that I think there's genres that describe it better than just saying that broader categories. There we go.
You got to make them tighter.
Humphrey Bogart. At Vlad saying costume drama. Well, which costumes? Apocalypto. They were all wearing costumes, and it was pretty dramatic.
Yes. Here's my list. Specific list. Hats. The color yellow. Watches. Humphrey Bogart. Portugal.
You get extra points if you can find a movie that is yellow with hats, watches, Humphrey Bogart, set in Portugal. Yes, we will accept Brazil if they're all speaking in Portuguese.
You know what would be good would be a movie scavenger hunt. That's for another day, though.
Not a bad idea, though. All right, everybody.
Always thinking.
I think it is. Yeah, I'm going to take the chat overlay. Jim and I will go back to our usual thing. I do want to say tricorns. Okay, everyone. Excuse me. Terrible belch. Folks, thank you all again for coming, especially as we had technical problems and I kind of dropped the ball. Although I'm still gritting my teeth at Restream.
You've had a busy night.
I did have a busy night. I have a hole in me somewhere.
Yeah.
I do though, folks. Yeah. Again, thanks for coming. Especially let's go through the list here, folks. All you great supporters of the show. Vlad 65, 1/3 of the Balmoral Street Research Irregulars. Jonathan, the challenge is to you. I will tag you and perhaps follow up with a message saying, hey, watch this part. We've got, let's not forget, the Upside Dan, the one who started this for Jim and I. And thank you so much. Jim, I've had a great time.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
This was fun. Eric Thorpe, thank you very much for dropping by. Sean Lost in the Reel, thank you so much. Folks, some of this will end up probably getting cut out. Definitely the extras on the top. So don't come back expecting to see the chat. This really was our response, and it'll now be like a standalone video. This is our thing. But again, this is so much fun. Dan, thank you so much for thinking of us and including us in this.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and I don't think, did I miss anyone, Jim? You know what, Shashank? You usually drop in on these things later. Good to see you, man. It's like a little Easter egg, a little, a
Yeah.
little plant along the map. Alrighty, everyone. Again, Jim, I'll see you in the green room, eh?
You bet.
So I think it's time then to turn down the music.
Good night, all.
And good night, everyone. And yeah, let's. Where the heck am I? Where the heck am I, Jim? What am I
Boom.
doing here?
I'm ready.
Oh,
The
there
final
we
guitar
go.
strum.